The game never stops, and neither do we. Welcome to the SDH Network. We're always around the corner from everywhere. Morning Espresso is brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. Let's start where last night belonged. It was in San Diego. The Concacaf Champions Cup is back. San Diego is in it for the first time, and they announced themselves on the continental stage in a big, big way, rolling past Pumas of Mexico 4-1 in the first leg of their Concacaf Champions Cup opener at Snapdragon Stadium. Didn't start comfortably, though. Pumas struck first in the 12th minute. A bicycle kick from Robert Morales, the goal that rewarded their early good play for Pumas and Efrain Juarez, and it quieted the crowd. San Diego had the ball, but they didn't have the breakthrough. Now, that changed in the second half. Manu Dua's header in the 69th minute leveled the match, completely flipped the tone, the momentum of everything. From there, San Diego poured it on. David Vasquez, Alex Maiton, Luca Bombino all scored. Pumas could not regain control and settle themselves. And that third and fourth goal are so important because San Diego now goes to Mexico next week to the Estadio Olímpico Universitario. They have a 3-goal cushion. Yeah, Pumas has an away goal. Okay, so whatever. The 3-goal cushion is huge for San Diego. They didn't just handle things in this game. They didn't just come back and make it tight going into the second leg. They blew Pumas out in the second half when they had the momentum. The momentum flipped. San Diego took full advantage. Big props to Mikey Veras and San Diego. They are in a good position going into that second leg in Mexico. Elsewhere in CONCACAF last night, Club America, they edged Olimpia 2-1 in Tegucigalpa. Victor Davila opened the scoring. Jorge Alvarez pulled Olimpia level. Looked like Olimpia had gone ahead. Goal called back for being offside. Ramon Juarez grabbed a late winner for America Las Águilas, heading home with a 2-1 win. They're in great shape. Tigres in good shape as well, mainly because they're out of the cold in Hamilton. Forge FC and Tigres a scoreless draw on a frigid night. Yeah, the series is wide open going into the second leg in Monterrey, but Tigres will have the big advantage going back home in that one. Tonight, CONCACAF Champions Cup continues. Gelajou of Guatemala, they host Monterrey. And later, Vancouver FC of the Canadian Premier League hosts Cruz Azul. Vancouver has to make this home leg matter. Same for Gelajou. Let's go to the Carabao Cup in England, and Arsenal are going back to Wembley. They edged Chelsea to reach the EFL Cup final. 1-0 on the night, 4-2 on aggregate. Kai Havertz settled things in the 97th minute on the counter. That made it 4-2. Arsenal was holding on to that 1-goal aggregate lead. It was a tense, kind of attritional sort of night. First major final for Arsenal in 6 years, only their second under Mikel Arteta. Context matters here. Arsenal are 6 points clear at the top of the Premier League. They're perfect in the Champions League so far, and they are still alive in the FA Cup. Talk of a quadruple is kind of fantasy land. Nobody does that in England. But it's February, and Arsenal are still looking at a possible quadruple. Yeah, we went through this with Liverpool last year, and no, it didn't happen, but facts are facts. Arteta has refined this group. Martin Zubimendi has brought some extra balance. Victor Gyökeres is starting to find goals, and Kai Havertz is finally healthy and contributing consistently. Arsenal suffocates you. Chelsea eventually faded. Arsenal waited for the moment. They put the game away late. Next in this competition, anyway, it's going to be at Wembley on March 22nd, the final of the Carabao Cup. Arsenal will play whoever comes out of the other semifinal today, Manchester City and Newcastle. Look, Arsenal probably won't win everything. Nobody does this again in England, but it's all still alive right now for the Gunners, and we'll see how they handle that pressure down the stretch. Let's bring it back to MLS. Let's go to Minnesota. The Loons are in advanced talks with James Rodríguez, as reported by Tom Bogert and everybody over at The Athletic. It would be one of the bigger deals in league history. It'd be the biggest deal for Minnesota. Sorry, Darwin Quintero. Rodríguez is a free agent after leaving León. He is a central figure for Colombia heading into 2026. The Cafeteros need him playing and playing well to factor into things next summer at the World Cup. He was outstanding at the Copa America in 2024, led Colombia to the final. He would be the biggest global name in Minnesota United history. Minnesota finished fourth in the West last season. They lost to San Diego, they lost in the playoffs. Minnesota finished fourth in the West last season. They were knocked out in the playoffs. It's a different group under Cameron Knowles than it was under Eric Ramsey. It is a team that appears to want the ball more and to be a much more attacking-minded team, and James Rodríguez would be a big factor in that. Let's go to Argentina. Some reports out of El Gráfico. Newell's Old Boys, they are dreaming big. Club officials have outlined a long-term plan to bring Lionel Messi back to Argentine football. I mean, kind of back. He never played there as a pro. He was 13 or so when he left Newell's to go to Barcelona. But there's talk about him coming back in 2027. Now, there's no deal in place. Don't let other reports fool you. Nobody's pretending that it's close in Argentina at the moment, but conversations have happened. It's not just a normal transfer here. It's a club that is in Messi's heart. It's the city of Rosario where he calls home. It's Argentine football as a whole and what it could do for it. Messi's under contract with Inter Miami through 2028, so timing, logistics, all that matters. It's a dream at the moment, but it will carry weight because it is attached to the greatest player to ever play the game. We'll see. We'll see where this goes, but it's being talked about, so stay tuned. Let's bring it back to the domestic side of things. Bay FC, they named Stacey Johns as their new CEO. She arrives from LAFC, deep commercial experience and international governance background. In Vancouver, the Whitecaps and British Columbia province leaders continue lease talks at BC Place. Officials have proposed a net zero operating model for the venue. The club says that still doesn't solve the long-term revenue gap. Stadium uncertainty remains. NYCFC's deal for Moussa Silla, that has collapsed. Schalke publicly criticizing the handling of the medical exams. NYCFC have declined comment. They are back in the market for another striker. Real Salt Lake, they have added Morgan Guilavogui from loan for a reported $5 million. Philadelphia Union have signed Colombian defender Gainer Martinez. Sporting Kansas City have added Wyatt Meyer and Jaden Reed. And Chicago and Colorado swapped international roster slots for allocation money. Chicago needing a couple of international slots. SDH AM live this morning with John Nelson hosting. Jake Koenig and Justin Graham from the Ball Watching podcast will join to talk St. Louis City and what 2026 looks like for them. If you missed it yesterday, John's interview with Jordan Gardner, the new owner of Kelty Hearts, is available now as a podcast. They get into multi-club ownership, American ownership in Europe, lots of different topics. Go check that out. And on soccerdownhere.net, my own feature on Atlanta United's new signing, Elias Baez, is live. Get some background, get some context on that signing for Atlanta United. Let's bounce into the refill. Barcelona, they reached the Copa del Rey semifinals yesterday. They had to sweat a little bit. It was not easy for them against Albacete, the Giant Killers who had eliminated Real Madrid in the previous round. A late goal made it very, very interesting in this one, but Lamine Yamal and Ronald Araujo's goals held up. It's Barcelona's 16th win in their last 17 across all competitions. Milan, they extended their unbeaten Serie A run to 22 matches, 3-0 win at Bologna. They are within 5 points of Inter as the title race tightens. Vinicius Jr., Real Madrid are optimistic about renewing him, but there is Saudi interest remaining in the background. Everybody is still talking. Nothing is happening as of yet. N'Golo Kante, it has happened. He is going to Fenerbahce. Administrative delays had stalled the move earlier in the week. The Turkish window remains open. He joins from Al Ittihad as Fenerbahce chase their first league title in 12 years. And Fenerbahce are linked with other potential signings over the next few days as well. We'll see if they can get all those done. The English FA has proposed changes to the Women's FA Cup, including seeding top WSL teams and introducing a fixed bracket to improve commercial storytelling. Clubs have pushed back strongly. It would limit some of the smaller clubs' participation in the tournament. No final decisions have been made. The Kings League, they have raised $63 million in new funding, pushing total investment past $160 million as they eye global expansion. This is the small-sided competition, 7-a-side, that was created by Gerard Piqué, former Spanish and Barcelona center back. Plans to grow in the U.S. after launches in Europe and Saudi Arabia. Palmeiras, they have reportedly bid €25 million for Colombia international John Arias. Wolves are prepared to accept it. He hasn't really settled in there. Former club Fluminense, they hold matching rights, and Wolves are looking at getting a quick profit in this whole deal. We'll see if Fluminense will match what Palmeiras has put on the table. The Copa Libertadores 2026 edition has kicked off with the strongest getting a 2-1 win at home over Deportivo Táchira. First qualifying round played in La Paz yesterday. Jaime Arrascaeta and Victor Abrego, Abrego scored from the penalty spot. Arrascaeta scored in the run of play. That gives the strongest the win in the high altitude first leg. Táchira's Carlos Calzadilla, he briefly leveled it before the strongest regained the lead with that penalty. Return match in San Cristobal will decide who advances to face Deportes Tolima in the second stage of the Libertadores qualifying rounds. Corinthians, they near a new sponsorship revenue record in Brazil. They're advancing in talks with some potential new sponsors. Could surpass in Brazilian money $255 million in commercial revenue in 2026. Some big partnerships, some renewed brand interest. Club execs are very optimistic about getting to this point so they can go out into the market and start to sign bigger players. Our old friend Matias Gallardo, former Atlanta United 2 attacker, he marked a milestone in his career, his first goal for Instituto in Argentina. Breakthrough moment was celebrated, great article in El Gráfico. Matias was always a really good guy, always had a smile on his face, worked really hard for Atlanta United too, had some injuries towards the end that made it difficult to keep him here. He's gone back to Instituto and done well in Argentina. Good for him, really excited for him, want to see him break through. And we've got to end with a John Textor and Botafogo update because that's what we do. It's still very decisive stretch right now as John Textor is pushing for approval of a proposed capital injection involving GDA Luma Capital and Hutton Capital. Textor's framed it as necessary to stabilize operations and support competitiveness. He has publicly praised the leadership of Botafogo Social for its cooperation as the deliberations continue. You got critics who are arguing that the structure of this capital injection more closely resembles a very costly loan. Doesn't really look like a straightforward investment type of thing here. The social side has to approve this capital injection before the funds can be released. It's not approved yet. The timing matters, and you're seeing Textor start to really praise the social side of things, the associativo side, which is funny because I think he's criticized them before, but now he is praising them and saying they're very intelligent and all those things publicly. Yes, he's still on Instagram saying things. They need to get this done one way or another. They got to have some money come in the door, and Textor doesn't have any money to put it out of his own pocket, even though he said he would, because they have the FIFA transfer ban. They owe Atlanta United $30 million. They owe other clubs money that has not resulted in a transfer ban yet, but it's not far off. Reportedly, this was going to be a $50 million capital investment. If you owe Atlanta United 30, most of it's gone already. There is talk about bringing in Marco Di Cesare from Racing Club, a new center back, which they need for €4 million. Then your capital investment's pretty much gone. You owe Nottingham Forest, according to reports, $20 million. You owe Ceará around $10 million. You owe Vélez money and $4 million, if I remember right. It all runs together after a while because there's so many people. I don't know. There's also the talk on the European side of things when it comes to Eagle football about Aries really coming in after what they're owed from John Textor personally, which is in the $250 million range. There's the Iconic Sports lawsuit that went against Textor. And now that is looking like that money is coming due. That's $97 million. I don't know how all this gets resolved quickly, and I hate it for Botafogo fans because they're stuck in the middle of all this, hoping that somebody can bail them out. But right now, the capital injection that looks like it would bail them out is not exactly all that helpful in the long term. It feels like a very short-term fix. We'll see. We'll keep you posted on everything going on Botafogo. We'll keep you posted on everything going on around the world across all the continents. So you had San Diego seizing their big moment in continental play last night. Arsenal continuing to manage belief in a dream of a quadruple, but they're not letting themselves get ahead of that. You got clubs from Minnesota to Fluminense to Palmeiras to Fenerbahce all making big moves or trying to make big moves. That ambition is key, but Botafogo also teaches us you got to have those foundations very secure. February doesn't always tell us all the answers, but it does sharpen the questions, and this week is making it clear which clubs have some answers and maybe have fewer questions. We'll talk about all of it again tomorrow. A new edition of Morning Espresso coming tomorrow. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you are on the social media channels at Soccer Down Here. Make sure you're subscribed to get the podcast of all of our SDH AM shows, Soccer Over There, the Morning Espresso podcast, all of those things. Wherever you get your podcast, you can also do it at Spreaker. And tell your friends about the Morning Espresso. Let's continue to grow this morning conversation about what's going on around the world. Thank you for being a part of it, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.